Elmo for president. Yes, welcome to Mark and Pete. Here's a thought.
When Elmo from Sesame Street speaks out across the states, he can manipulate social media just like a puppet, for he's a dab hand at where the public relates, because the incumbent is a muppet. Yes, well, it's quite remarkable, isn't it, that the character Elmo, yes, the Muppet, the real Muppet, innocently asked people across social media, X, formerly known as Twitter, and thousands of users replied, sharing their grief and despair on life today. Now, this is a Sesame Street character that's been around for many, many years. And remarkably, the United States President, yes, Joe Biden, the other Muppet, the other character,
Yes.
stated, "Our friend Elmo is right. We have to be there for each other." Well, this is quite a remarkable social insight, Clergyman Pete. I ask you, who would you vote for if we had Donald Trump, Joe Biden, or Elmo from Sesame Street on the ballot sheet?
Yes, it is interesting, isn't it? Because the way that politics has changed is that we've always voted for, I suppose, people who have a commanding presence. They would attract attention, but voting for celebrities has really come about. I mean, the first celebrity president of the United States wasn't Ronald Reagan, as you thought he'd been an actor, but he then went on to be, a politician. He was governor of California, etc. But really, it was Barack Obama who took on the mantle of being a social media president and a celebrity president. He was sort of an international superstar. Even before he became president, he had a tour of Europe, and so we had this have this idea now. So when Trump took over, who was a celebrity star, we see again once a turning away from what it is, turning away from what previously made us want to vote for someone. Now, the name recognition and the fact that we see them within the media that we consume, within social media, especially, I suppose, these days, it means that I think Elmo might win. But I just reading on a recent upload about Elmo that Elmo wants to make Sesame Street great again. So I'm not sure what his politics are.
No. Well, this furry redhead Muppet, I'm talking
Yes.
about Elmo,
Oh,
that is now,
oh, right.
not one of
Thanks
the
for
other
clarifying.
presidential candidates, was not fazed by everyone dumping all of their worldly troubles on him on social media. In fact, he was glad that he was asked
Yeah.
about some of the problems, and the social media dialogue continues even today. But I think that the one thing that many people can relate to is that Sesame Street, which is a long standing children's program, has for many, many years always sought everybody's well being, accepting that, of course, typically it's for children. A lot of those children are actually now growing up. And in fact, as we all now know, that there is a presidential campaign running, and in November of 2024 we will know who will be the president of the United States. But the thing here is does this also reflect that maybe some of the human candidates are possibly out of touch with their audience? And I think that that's really where what this really, in my opinion, is quite a good social insight. That I don't know whether you feel the same, Clergyman Pete, that it takes a children's character that just innocently places a simple question on social media that everybody latches onto. And I just wonder that is that something that now that we should be thinking about, that really most people have lost interest and confidence in the candidates that are genuinely running for the president?
I think that is the case to a certain extent, although candidates will have their diehard fans and parties will have their own allegiances. So you have to take that into account. But if you have someone like Elmo, who, is a media figure, fictional character, much like Biden and Trump, he's also a very inoffensive character. He's innocent. You almost feel sorry for him. And so him asking you is someone you can reply to. And I think there is that certain naivety, that certain innocence that we don't find in real life celebrities, that I think stirred up something in people to reply and to air their particular grievances, anxieties, etc., in response to his tweet. So yeah, I think there is some. I think we can see something in society from this, that people yearn after innocence and purity. And
Yes.
sadly, it's been lost, and you don't really find much of it in politics today.
Well, I think there's another element here, and I'm just going to continue the story a little bit because the Sesame Street characters, the friends of Elmo, are also taking to social media. So, as you know, there's Ernie and Bert, and Ernie's best friend went on to social media saying, "I'm here if any ever you need a shoulder to lean on. I'll make us both a warm cup of tea." Well, the thing is that great, because the point being is, although that's a simple but delightful sentiment, what he's really saying is, I'm there to help, and I'm there to listen. And isn't it interesting that many politicians, they're pushing the rhetoric back onto the public that isn't resonating, and yet just a simple gesture from from a character from a children's program is actually starting to sort of get to the real heart of one of the challenges. I think that here, I just wonder whether you feel that some of the tone of the politicians will change. I'm not saying that this particular social media campaign from Sesame Street itself will change the outcome of the election, but do you think that maybe it is sending a signal out that some of the campaigning is getting a bit nasty? And maybe what this is doing is saying, look, we don't need this anymore. And then this is an opportunity.
Well, I think, well, you know the phrase, "What you need is sincerity." If you can fake that, then you can get anywhere. Well, I think that that's the way this is being used. So when President Biden's account chimed in, it's trying to get some of the innocence and trust from Elmo put onto President Biden. I mean, that's been part of his shtick anyway, that he understands, even though
Yeah.
he patently doesn't, and is rather seems to be um, rather distant, really, and unable to relate to people on a personal level. He just gets angry with them. That's what I've seen in his interactions in public. So I don't. I don't see that this is going to change politics. I think it could well be used by politicians. So really, the only answer is to vote for Elmo himself. I hope he puts himself forward
Yes,
as
well,
a
I do as
candidate.
well. But I also would like to call out, and I definitely want our listeners to know, is whether Big Bird should also chip in, the Cookie Monster, maybe Ernie and Bert themselves, who probably run. And I would hazard a guess that they would all do a lot better than two other candidates that I know.
Yes, well, actually running the country in international diplomacy, you mean? Yeah,
Mm.
maybe. Yes, maybe. Well, I mean, I think that's about all for this week on Mark and Peter. We better quickly get off before we get replaced by two Muppets. Some would say we already have been. Let us know what you think. Do get in touch with the show. Do go to markandpete.com. Make sure you're subscribed, and then you can comment on this and every episode. But for Mark and myself, it's goodbye and catch you next time.